All right, everybody. So welcome to all. My name is Ben Weinlick with Skills Society, and kind of part of launching and kind of getting Action Lab set up along with a lot of other cool people in the room that have helped make this happen. Skills Society, we're one of the largest disability service organizations in Edmonton, and something that we've been championing innovation, I'd say, for the whole 30-some years, that we've been striving to support the engaged citizenship of people with disabilities. And we haven't just kind of talked about innovation, but we've done stuff for the last 5 years, like the Citizen Action Lab process. We'll talk a little bit today how we're trying to look at creative ways of how we help people with disabilities have meaningful roles in community. So we've been trying to really walk our talk around innovation for some years, and we're super excited that Action Lab is coming to fruition. So a couple little things before I forget. Make yourself at home, rate our cupboards, go through there. We really want this to be kind of a homey feeling, that it's really comfortable like that. Bathrooms. There are bathrooms right out here. There's bathrooms on the main floor. The really cool bathrooms are on the 4th floor, so if you want to have a little excursion up there, they're up there. The swag bags, so we gave everybody an empathy map, a magnet, that we use in the lab, and if you stay for the open house afterwards, we're going to be using that and exploring that. So there's a little taster of one of these tools that we have from the lab. It's pretty cool that you can use. So that's in your bag, as well as some tea from our community infusion project and a few other little goodies. If you're tweeting today, we claimed it Action Lab YEG, so we're using that, as well as at Skills Society. And please, there's t-shirts out there if you want, so these status quo t-shirts, which are pretty cool. Sarah Herview designed them. And as well as our Action Lab t-shirts are out there that support Skills Society. And what else? Please stay after if you want to. When we transition from the keynotes to that, it's going to be chaos. We'll just embrace the chaos of that. Drinks are going to happen. We're going to move the chairs out, and then people are going to be going to the different stations, and awesomeness will ensue. So, big welcome to Mr. David Shepherd, MLA Edmonton Centre. He's been doing stuff also with us here in the Action Lab with McDougall community, so really excited to have him here. Mayor Don Iveson. Whoop, whoop. Tim Draimin from Social Innovation Generation in Toronto. Mark Cabaj from Here2There. Minds around social innovation in Canada. We're very lucky that they're here and going to share some information and knowledge around that. Skills board and leadership team that's here, that's really kind of championed this and supported all this to happen. And Manasc Isaac, who are designers, Vivian and Josh, who really took the vision and brought this to life. So excited about that. Anything I miss, people, that I should be? The guest book. Jamie Kaleo designed this really rad guest book, and it's better to kind of sign the guest book at the end, because you can use a quote or do a picture or do a hashtag, whatever you want. So as you go through your experience here, if you can kind of go to the guest book after, that would be awesome. So how did this come about? A long time ago, in a galaxy far, far away, or like 3 years ago, we were on 2 floors of this building, and we had this idea. We had this big training space downstairs, and we thought, how can we use this internally for our workshops and things we need to do at Skills Society, but also have some type of a change lab, a social innovation lab to support community. So we went after and applied for the Blue Sky Award with Manasc Isaac to help with the design, and were successful with that, but then some challenges happened in terms of what was happening with the building at that time, and so we kind of, our dreams were squashed for a little bit. And then about 6 months ago, we had the oh crap moment where this space came available. So we moved to a smaller footprint just on this floor, but this space became available, and we called up Vivian and said, can you do us a solid here? Like, we kind of need to design something in like a few weeks to get rolling. And she jumped to it and really helped us out with that. So we had a session with community where we designed what it would feel like in this space and how it would be used. So we did some visioning with Vivian. So that's this space right here, where that's what this picture is. And went through kind of what we want the place to feel like, and prototyped it. Debbie making, this is a big ball. So I think those balls morphed into those stools over there and other things. Taping. So just kind of having fun with it, designing this together collectively about what could really be cool, which is also a big part of what happens in the lab. Rather than designing solutions to challenges to people, designing with people. And that's the spirit of what we're trying to do at Action Lab. So we went through that, and Josh and Vivian were looking at things, and Also realizing, the cost of what it's going to be, and thanks to an Alberta Culture Grant, we were able to make this happen. So pretty close to what it looks like. This was meeting, the builders are really great. They're called the SWAT team, Special Work and Tactics. And General Kajener here briefing the SWAT team on how it's going to all happen. But this was just an awesome process to see this evolve and emerge over time. So we've already started to use it internally, and officially, as you can see, we still have a little bit of scaffolding that is coming down still, so we waited until all that was done until we could launch. We had a variety of workshops in here. We had a McDougall community lab with that community exploring what kind of space and programs could really be innovative to help bottom-up innovation emerge from McDougall community. Make Something Edmonton's been in here. Usually these are maybe some government workers here. So there's 3 pillars to the Action Lab. There's the space, which people can rent. It's the social enterprise for Skills Society. So really inspiring space people can use for their strategic planning, projects, those kinds of things. There's facilitation and workshops. So people saying, we need some cooler strategic planning. We can help you with that. Workshops around quality of life, design thinking, all of those things. Stay tuned on our website for that. And then the social innovation lab part. So we're going to do one this year by the end of the year, which will be, we're going to work with community, find out what's a real challenge area that we could dive into over 3 to 6 months. Convene this really great lab team, go out into community. So this will be kind of the base where things will happen, but we'll be going out into community on the ground, kind of work with people to explore and co-design solutions with community. So that's really where some cool stuff's going to happen. So one of the things often in leading change, we kind of do a top-down version, and we're trying to kind of move away to new models, these change labs. So we convene executives, policymakers, we get smart people in a room, and we say, yeah, what's really been happening? What are the challenges? We make a new program or intervention, and we say, oh, this will be really innovative because it's on the cutting edge, and we unleash it on people, and then sometimes people say, well, we didn't really want that. It isn't really quite the service, the thing we wanted. Human-centered design thinking, which is part of this, what underlies the Action Lab, it's people first. So who are the people experiencing a challenge? How can we work with people to design solutions together? What could trigger change in a positive way? We prototype and test quickly, and have policy champions in the room to support that. So one thing kind of relates. So sometimes if we get nice, pretty design, where we say, oh, this is so beautiful, design this path, right? People will want that. And if we really hung out with people to see what they want, actually they just want a shortcut to go that way. So you only really learn that by hanging out with people to understand what they really need. And so this is kind of the piece of, rather than designing in ivory towers away from people, we want to convene the right groups and go out into community and explore in that way. So the social lab will convene diverse groups of citizen explorers, policymakers. There'll be on-the-ground research. We'll explore assumptions and root causes. We'll prototype solutions. We'll test, and proposals or implementation of social innovation will emerge. So we've been working on something called, sometimes it gets confused, the Citizen Action Lab, which is our process over the last 5 years that we've been tweaking. There's a little write-up on the wall over there. It's twofold. One is about how do we enhance the citizenship experience of people with disabilities, and how do we grow capacity internally in our organization. We have about 500 employees. How do we grow ways for people to think and do differently, to think of creative ways to connect people in community? So one example, we have this process, so we do a little bit of light ethnographic research on the ground, hanging out with people. So learning a bit about Todd, loves weed whacking. Weed whacking is like meditation to Todd. Work means value. Work means money for smokes in a truck. And any place I can hang a smoke and chat with people is awesome. So really learning who people are, what motivates them, what they're into, coming up with ideas for how we could help them have meaningful roles in community. So there's a phase of diverging, creating choices, converging on possibilities. Lots of sticky notes, death by sticky notes sometimes. We try to make our ideas visual, because there's something that happens in just talking about things, but to make them visual, that's more powerful. And then we test it, going out with Todd and seeing. So starting up a little business that he could go out in community, checking how that goes. So again, it's twofold. It's about outcomes for people, and it's about growing capacity to think and do differently. So I'm going to invite up Vivian and Josh about kind of their experience of the lab, anything they want to say, and also they took the lab for a test run, and seriously, when I came in and watched how they used it, it was just like, whoa, these are pros. They used everything in the lab. It was unbelievable. So, Vivian Manasc.
Okay. Thanks, Ben, and thanks for that great introduction. Just a little background. At Manasc Isaac, we've actually applied this kind of approach to design work and designing buildings and spaces for people for the past 35 years. So we just invented this just the last week or two. No, we've actually been doing this for decades. And about a decade ago, we came up with this idea for a Blue Sky Award, which is our way of giving our approach to design services back to the community. So we were really delighted when Ben put forward the proposal for this skills lab because it fit our vision so beautifully, and that was why they were selected as the winners of the Blue Sky Award a couple of years ago. So we were super thrilled to be able to work with you, and you guys have been an absolute delight to work with, and we're really very pleased to see how well this has turned out. So I'm just going to say, our sort of 50-person design firm has a monthly staff meeting, and we've been doing this for decades. And normally we just hold it at our office, but once or twice a year we go off-site just to do an actual staff meeting off-site, and often we'd like to use a space that we've actually designed or helped create. And so in December, Ben was good enough to let us use the lab, and it happened that it was right at the time of the COP21 talks in Paris. So we are a firm that's focused on sustainable design. We've been leading the conversation about green buildings for over 20 years. We founded the Canadian Green Building Council, the LEED Green Building Rating System, all those things. So we're concerned about climate change and its impact and the influence that we have as designers of the built environment on the planet and on the people who have to live on this planet. And so we thought that it might be a fun workshop for our staff because it is something we think about all the time, to actually focus our attention and to sort of think about what are the top 10 things that we would propose to the Alberta government. Because when the new government, our new provincial government, our Rachel Notley government, with help from David and others, basically announced ahead of the COP21 talks in Paris that we are finally going to have a climate change policy in Alberta, we were thrilled. And we said, well, the built environment is part of that. In what way is it part of it? And we were sort of pleased that the government hadn't really shaped that piece of it. So we felt it was an opportunity to talk about it. As it happened, I had an opportunity to meet with the Minister of Infrastructure later in December, and so I thought I'd use this as a good starting point for conversation. So we essentially brought our entire team here, so about 50 architects, engineers, planners, designers of all stripes. And we workshopped our way through different groups, setting up different ideas of what we would recommend to government. And we had 100 ideas in the space of sort of an hour. And then we winnowed that down and came up with our top 10 ideas. And those top 10 ideas, basically through using the tools here in the workshop, really helped, because a number of our staff are architects and engineers and planners and are used to doing this all the time. But we also have staff who are communication staff and support staff and accounting staff and all kinds of other folks who aren't part of the design conversation on a day-to-day basis. And everybody contributed, everybody got into the swing of it, and everybody came up with tremendous ideas. And out of that, we actually synthesized 10 action items, which I think we have a handout here. I think Josh has got copies if you're really curious what those 10 items are. I'm not here to tell you about all of those, but we did put forward 10 clear recommendations to the government to say, these are the things that we think we as a province should be doing to mitigate climate change risk through the built environment lens. So we found that this space really made a huge difference to our team, even though we're very accustomed to doing design and design workshops. We found that this space really created a level of animation that was way more exciting than just our normal workshop process. So as a result of that, I've asked Ben to make me a few of these kits, and we're going to take some of them back to our office, and we're going to be back here with some of our client groups to use this space as a way to further innovation in the world of design and construction, so in the architectural and engineering world. So I'm going to turn it over to Josh just to say a few words from his perspective.
Yeah, I don't have a whole lot to add, but I did want to say that obviously successful projects take more than just an architect or a designer. They also take great clients and great contractors, and I guess we were lucky enough on this project to have both. So I just wanted to say, thank you to Ben and Pat and everybody at Skills, and I don't know if he's here, but also Dave and the SWAT team. You guys were both great to work with. And you made this project, or helped make this project, into something that was not only a lot of fun to work with, but I'd say is pretty close to what we could imagine as a best case scenario when we were thinking about the Blue Sky Award. So I think I'd just like to maybe ask you all to give a round of applause to Ben and Pat and Dave. And that's pretty much all I had to say. So
Awesome. All right. Well, we'll turn it back to Ben.
Thank you very much. So just a quick thing here. So huge thanks to Manasc Isaac, Alberta Culture, David Egan for the CFIP grant, SIG, Social Innovation Generation, so Kelsey, Tim, they've been huge supports for this. So they've come from Toronto, they're speaking today, they've been boosters of the Action Lab around, so really happy about that. ABSI, Alberta Social Innovation Connect. If you don't know about it, check it out. So Aaliyah and her colleagues here, they're also going to be running some of the lab stations after. So they're exploring the social innovation ecosystem in Alberta, and it's some amazing stuff that's emerging. There's a great blog, great stories. What is impacting systems change? What are the patterns of that? All of those things. So huge thanks to ABSI Connect and Skills Society for the board and the leadership team to have the vision to say something is like, hey, we're going to do this crazy change lab. And they're like, yeah, we're going to make that. We're going to figure that out. Because it is quite new, kind of emergent work. And so for that kind of leadership to take the risk to do that, that's a pattern of innovation. And we're doing stuff. Stuff's happening. So huge thanks to the board, to Cindy, and leadership team. Okay, that's that. And welcome, Mr. David Shepherd, MLA Edmonton Centre. Also the guy who sold me my first sampler, Long and McQuaid, back in the day. Come on over, musician. All right, come on up.
Well, thanks, Ben. It's fantastic to get to be here and join everyone here tonight for the opening, the public opening of the Skills Lab. Here, of course, tonight on behalf of Premier Rachel Notley, my colleagues in the Government of Alberta. I'd like to start by acknowledging the fantastic and incredibly important work that's done by Skills Society themselves. It can be incredibly easy for Albertans with disabilities to be marginalized, overlooked, left out of public life. And Skills provides crucial supports and services. They engage in advocacy to help ensure that these Albertans get to enjoy all the same opportunities that the rest of us do. My own niece, Brooklyn, has greatly benefited from the supports that Skills provides. And thanks to their help, she's enrolled in the child care program over at MacEwan University. So I really appreciate the work that Skills does. And in that work, they're building bridges with businesses, schools, organizations, communities across Edmonton. They're connecting they're connecting over shared interests and to come together to solve mutual problems. And now they're continuing that work here with this great new fantastic community resource here at the Action Lab. I had the chance, as was mentioned, to attend a session here back in December with some residents of Central McDougall and a few other community organizations. And I can say from experience, this is a space that really does inspire dialogue and real conversation. It's a beautiful design. Thank you again to Manasc Isaac for their contributions and their time put into designing this space. It really is something I think that inspires creativity and really does help develop ideas. It's a space I think that also really reflects what makes Edmonton great. That being our ingenuity, our willingness to roll up our sleeves, and our commitment to building grassroots solutions from the ground up. So I'm incredibly thankful to Skills for investing in this space, for working to make it happen, and for making it available for so many other groups to come in and use. I'm really excited for, I think, the great conversations and the fantastic ideas that I know are going to come out of here. So thanks again to everybody who worked on this, who put in the time to make it happen. Looking forward to see what's going to come. Thank you.
All right, and next we're going to welcome Mayor Don Iveson. We had to make sure that he blended in with the walls, right? So we had to have a picture that blended in really nicely there. Yeah, Mayor Don Iveson. Yeah.
Well, thanks, Ben. Let's just let's be careful of our judgments. I think what you can take away from that, actually, is that though life in the world can seem quite daunting at times, if we can stay tapped into our relentless optimism, we can do extraordinary things, and the best way to do that is in community. It's really, really hard to be a solipsistic optimist. I've tried it, and it doesn't work. And so instead, I turned to public life, and now I'm the most public person in the city, which is terrifying sometimes. But I get to come to things like this. I get to be re-inspired all the time by the efforts of people in this community to ignite change, to support one another, particularly to support vulnerable Edmontonians and Edmontonians who really can thrive and can do extraordinary things, but need additional community support, who absolutely cannot be optimistic if they're solipsistic. And so I really admire the work of Skills Society, and I'm grateful that they're here in our community making a difference. And then to not just be content with the traditional way of doing things, to seek solutions in partnership and in community, and even like this to create space for dialogue across a whole range of opportunities for social innovation. I think the city, the broader community, is a wonderful beneficiary of that. And so I'm grateful to have the opportunity to say thank you on behalf of Edmonton City Council for your leadership and your vision in creating not only this space, but even more importantly, the kind of program that's that you're already running here. And having heard a little bit about what you've done so far, you know, I can imagine all kinds of opportunities for different organizations to use this space, and this is going to become extremely popular. I can sense that already. And looking at who's in the room here, knowing many of you, I can see you're already plotting events for your own organizations in here, because this is a beautiful space. And so to General Kajener and I guess Empress Vivian Manasc, or Imperator Vivian maybe, very, very nice work. It's always wonderful to celebrate local design talent. But to take a design approach to social challenges and to social inclusion, I think requires starting with people who are affected by those decisions. And so right at the very beginning, the notion that this space is to hear from community about what their needs are and what their solutions are, I think is very bottom up, very consistent with how local government tries to do things. And it's hard to do it at the city level. I'm sometimes jealous of mayors I get to work with in Northern Alberta who work in much, much smaller communities, because they can literally convene the community at the coffee shop or at the curling rink, and they can do this kind of thing at the municipal level. It's much harder for us to do that when you have a amazing city of 900,000 people. And so you need spaces like this, you need program like this, and you need partners like are in the room in order to engage with a complex and diverse community like this. But this is totally consistent with where we're going with our approaches to public engagement and public involvement. And so I think there's going to be lots of opportunities for the city to engage and use this space as we try to learn. And certainly we're going to try to marry up top-down leadership for things like eliminating poverty with bottom-up, making sure that what we're doing there is relevant to people in the community of those who are disabled, for example. And so I think you need all levels of engagement, and space like this facilitates that. So I guess I'll end on a thought. I was looking at the biographies of all the new parliamentarians, because I went and spoke in Ottawa a week or two ago to a whole bunch of the new parliamentarians, and they all have their occupation, lawyer, teacher, business person. And I started thinking, oh man, what's my occupation? I can't really, it's communications, public relations. That always sounds bad. It's like, oh, okay, career politician, right? And then I realized what I like to describe myself as if I'm given the opportunity to think about it, and that's social entrepreneur, because all the work that I've done has always been of that view. How can you convene people? How can you create social capital? How can you operate in an entrepreneurial and innovative and business-like way, but do it in a way that advances more than just the bottom line? Maybe you can even make money and plow that money away from, you don't have pesky shareholders who you need to pay dividends, so you can plow it all back into the good that you're trying to create. And that's how I operated in the different things that I did before I entered public life. And so this space resonates with me that way, because it's very much in tune with how I identify in terms of the work that I do. So congratulations. I really love that it says on this podium, a place to think differently, which is very, very Edmonton, and more importantly, make ideas happen. So making this about action, talk's good. We do lots of that at City Hall, but turning it into a difference in everyday Edmontonians' lives is a real sweet spot, and you guys are going to play a crucial role in that long into the future, I can tell already. So thanks very much.
Thanks a lot.